Planning your first trip to Paris can be overwhelming. There are hundreds of attractions, thousands of hotels, and countless restaurants to choose from. In this video and the next one, I'll show you exactly how to spend 3, 5, or 7 unforgettable days in Paris, including what to see, where to eat, and how to avoid the tourist traps that catch so many visitors. I recently asked my viewers how long they stayed in Paris on their first trip, and more than 90% said they spent either 3, 5, or 7 days here. So in this video, I've created the perfect itinerary for all 3 options, based on my own experience living in Paris for more than 36 years. I'll show you exactly what to see, where to eat, how much time to allow for each visit, and how much you can expect to spend along the way. Before we start, you can follow these itineraries no matter where you stay in Paris. However, 2 neighborhoods are especially popular with my viewers, Le Marais and Saint-Germain-des-Prés. For this video, I've based all the itineraries on the assumption that you are staying in Saint-Germain-des-Prés, one of my favorite areas in Paris. And if you're still choosing a hotel, I have a dedicated video featuring 3 excellent 3-star, 4-star and 5-star hotels in the neighborhood. Before we move on to our first day in Paris, a quick word about the sponsor of today's video. Although Paris Top Tips is all about helping you visit Paris better, many of you may know that I also travel extensively around the world on my other channel, Wanderlust Reports, where I review airlines, hotels, and travel products. And for the past 3 years, my suitcase of choice for long-haul trips has been the Level 8 Hedgehog 24-inch. Quite honestly, it's the best piece of luggage I've ever owned. It's extremely sturdy, very practical, and after dozens of flights across Europe and Asia, it still looks and works beautifully. But when I travel for just a few days and want to avoid checking in luggage, I now use this instead, the Level 8 Gibraltar aluminium carry-on. And I have to say, I'm equally impressed. It's made from aluminium magnesium alloy, which gives it a very premium look and an exceptionally solid feel. I personally chose the grey aluminium version, which I find elegant and understated. What I particularly like are the TSA-approved latch locks, which eliminate the need for zippers and make the suitcase feel even more secure. The wheels are also incredibly smooth and quiet, perfect whether you're crossing an airport terminal or rolling through the beautiful streets and covered passage of Paris. Inside, the organization is excellent, and Level 8 even includes packing cubes, which are perfect for a 3 to 5 day trip. So, if you're looking for a stylish, durable, and genuinely premium carry-on, I can wholeheartedly recommend the Level 8 Gibraltar. You'll find both a link and a promo code in the description below for an additional 15% discount. This first day will be the most demanding day of the entire itinerary, but also one of the most spectacular. If you're feeling jet-lagged after a long flight, don't worry. You can simply swap this day with day 2, which is a little less strenuous and includes more opportunities to sit and relax. To start your first day in Paris the right way, why settle for your hotel's breakfast buffet when you can step outside and enjoy the real Parisian experience? Go to a nearby cafe and enjoy a true Parisian breakfast. A hot drink, freshly squeezed orange juice, a crusty baguette with butter and jam, and, of course, a flaky, buttery croissant. Then it's time to head to one of the most iconic views in all of Paris, and we'll take the metro to go there. Paris streets get often congested, so opting for the efficient Parisian metro system over taxis or Uber will ensure swift and seamless journeys. If you're staying only 3 days in Paris, a Navigo Easy card will usually be your best option. But for a stay of 5 to 7 days, I highly recommend a Navigo Découverte card loaded with a weekly pass. It's by far the most convenient and cost-effective solution. For a complete explanation of these two Navigo cards and all the latest public transport changes, be sure to watch my dedicated video, Master the Paris Metro in 2026, Navigo cards, tickets and public transport explained. Now, it's time to head to one of the most iconic views in all of Paris. Take the metro to Paris Metro Station Trocadéro, served by line 6 and 9. From there, it's just a 2-minute walk to the Esplanade du Trocadéro, which offers what is, in my opinion, the most spectacular view of the Eiffel Tower. By now, your cameras should be well warmed up, so it's time to head down, cross the bridge, and make your way through security at the Eiffel Tower. For all my best tips on visiting the Eiffel Tower, be sure to check out my dedicated video, How to Visit the Eiffel Tower. Except for the ticket price, which are now risen to €36.70 for access to the summit, everything in that video is still perfectly up to date. If you plan to go up the Eiffel Tower, especially all the way to the 3rd level, I strongly recommend booking your tickets in advance on the official website. The lines to buy tickets on site can be extremely long, and having a pre-booked ticket allows you to bypass part of the way. Tickets can be purchased up to 60 days in advance, and I suggest booking as early as possible. During busy periods, the most desirable time slots often sell out very quickly. And to help you make the most of your visit, here are my 8 essential tips for a perfect Eiffel Tower experience. Once you finish your visit to the Eiffel Tower, take a short walk to Rue Claire, one of the most charming pedestrian market streets in Paris. Lined with bakeries, cheese shops, fruit and vegetable stands, and gourmet food stores, it's one of the most pleasant streets in the city and a wonderful place to experience everyday Parisian life. Feel free to stop for a quick snack if you're feeling hungry, but don't overdo it. We're heading to an excellent traditional bistro just a few minutes away. It's now time for lunch, and after just a 6-minute walk, I recommend one of the most authentic Parisian bistros in the neighborhood, Auberge Bressane. Here, you'll be able to enjoy superb classic French cuisine in a traditional bistro setting, and I'm sure you'll be delighted. Take your time here. A proper French lunch is meant to be enjoyed slowly, so be sure to allow at least an hour and a half. To help digest this wonderful meal, a pleasant 15-minute walk will take you to the tomb of one of history's greatest military geniuses, Napoleon Bonaparte. It's located beneath the magnificent golden dome of Les Invalides, one of the most impressive landmarks in Paris and a must-see for anyone interested in French history. At the center of the dome lies Napoleon's huge red quartzite sarcophagus, set within a circular crypt and surrounded by marble sculptures celebrating his greatest achievements. Even if you're not particularly interested in history, the sheer grandeur of the architecture and the dramatic setting makes this one of the most memorable visits in Paris. After your visit to Les Invalides, walk through the vast complex, or simply follow its southern side. Then traverse the entire length of the Esplanade des Invalides to the river. And there, you'll discover what is, in my opinion, the most beautiful bridge in Paris, Pont Alexandre III. With its ornate Art Nouveau lamps, gilded statues, and spectacular views over the Seine, the bridge is one of the most elegant and photogenic spots in the entire city. From Pont Alexandre III, you are just a 200-meter walk from the magnificent Grand Palais. Built for the 1900 World's Fair, this architectural masterpiece is instantly recognizable by its enormous glass roof and elegant Belle Époque design. It is one of the most impressive buildings in Paris and a symbol of the city's artistic and cultural heritage. While the Grand Palais regularly hosts major paid art exhibitions, it is also a lively public space with several areas that are freely accessible, including the Rotonde d'Antin and the spectacular nave beneath its immense glass roof. Even if you don't visit an exhibition, stepping inside to admire the extraordinary architecture is well worth a short stop. Now comes the longest walk of the day, but the good news is that it's almost entirely along a single avenue. We are about to walk nearly 2 kilometers up the world-famous Champs-Élysées, often described as the most beautiful avenue in the world. Lined with luxury boutiques, flagship stores, cafés, and historic landmarks, the Champs-Élysées is an essential part of any first visit to Paris. Take your time, enjoy the atmosphere, and don't hesitate to stop for some window shopping along the way. At the very top of the avenue awaits another of Paris's most iconic monuments, the magnificent Arc de Triomphe. To get to the bottom of the Arc de Triomphe, never ever cross the roundabout. It would be suicidal. There's a tunnel at the top right of the Champs-Élysées, or at the top left of the Avenue de la Grande Armée, as recorded here, to get there. It costs 22 euros to get to the top from April to September, and 16 euros the rest of the year. Climbing up there is tiring, but the view is awesome. And now, because we've already done quite a bit of walking today, it's time to give your feet a well-deserved break. Take bus number 92 to Alma-Marceau, and the Bateau Mouche Pier will be just 100 meters away. That will be the final highlight of the day, a magical sunset cruise on the Seine. It costs 20 euros, but only 17 if you book it on the web. As the sun begins to set, you'll glide past some of Paris's most iconic landmarks, including the Eiffel Tower, the Musée d'Orsay, Notre-Dame de Paris, and the Louvre Museum. It's one of the most romantic and unforgettable experiences you can have in Paris, and the perfect way to end your first day in the city. One last bus ride, this time on bus 63, and you'll be back near your hotel in Saint-Germain-des-Prés. After such a long and memorable day, I would recommend keeping dinner light. And in Saint-Germain, what could be better than enjoying a delicious crêpe at Little Braise? It's the perfect, relaxed ending to your first day in Paris. Paris can be expensive, but some experiences are simply worth it. For around 165 euros per person, this first day combines many of the moments people dream about before coming to Paris. The Eiffel Tower, the Seine at sunset, classic French food, and some of the city's most legendary landmarks. And for a first day in Paris, that's pretty hard to beat. This morning, let's start the day the way many Parisians do. Simply head to your neighborhood boulangerie and pick up a croissant, perhaps another viennoiserie, and a coffee, hot chocolate, or tea. Many bakeries also have a few tables inside or outside on the sidewalk, making it the perfect opportunity to enjoy a simple but very Parisian breakfast before we begin our day. We'll start today with a short and very pleasant walk from Saint-Germain-des-Prés to the Louvre Museum, crossing the beautiful Pont des Arts along the way. Then to reach the famous Louvre pyramid, you'll cross the magnificent Cour Carrée of the Louvre, one of the most elegant and historic courtyards in Paris. The Louvre will cost you 32 euros if you're not European, 22 euros if you are. Make sure to book way in advance. For detailed guidance on visiting the Louvre Museum, check out my video Visiting le Louvre, 10 insider tips and 10 must-sees. Here are 10 tips for the best visit to the Louvre Museum. Maybe the most important tip? Choose the right entrance. Whenever it's crowded, enter via the Porte des Lions. There usually is no line here. But you can only enter this way if you have pre-booked your ticket. Now let's head towards Galerie Vivienne, walking through the elegant courtyard and gardens of the Palais Royal along the way. Built in the 17th century for Cardinal Richelieu, the Palais Royal is today famous for its elegant gardens and the striking black and white colonne de Buren installation in its main courtyard. With its glass roof, mosaic floors, elegant boutiques and timeless atmosphere, Galerie Vivienne is considered one of the most beautiful covered passages in Paris. You may start feeling hungry by now, but don't worry. We're heading to one of the best traditional brasseries in Paris, Brasserie Vaudeville. There, you'll be able to try classic French brasserie dishes, such as bone marrow or a hearty Alsatian choucroute, before finishing with a delicious île flottante for dessert. Now it's time to take Metro Line 6 to Opera Station. We're heading to the magnificent Palais Garnier, Paris' legendary opera house. And as soon as you exit the metro station, you're greeted by the magical view of Paris' main ballet opera, one of the most spectacular buildings in the city. A self-guided tour of the opera costs 25 euros if you're not a European, plus 8 euros for the audio guide, which is really worth the money. In this 3-day itinerary, we won't have the time to go to Versailles. But this gallery is almost as beautiful as Versailles' Great Hall of Mirrors. Wouldn't you love to see an opera or a ballet here? enough visiting monuments now, it's shopping time. Let's take a very short walk to the Galeries Lafayette. On Boulevard Haussmann, just a few meters apart, are two of the greatest department stores, Galeries Lafayette and Printemps. Let's pay a visit to the largest one, Galeries Lafayette. If the dome at Galeries Lafayette is beautiful, the one in Printemps is quite nice too. If you want to do a bit of luxury shopping, both stores have all major brands. Both department stores have great free rooftops. This church, on that hill, is where we're going now. Let's now walk about 5 minutes to Saint-Lazare station and take the metro line 12 to Abbesse station, right in the heart of Montmartre. From there, a short walk will bring you to the Montmartre funicular that will cost you 1 metro ticket. Just a few more steps and the Sacré-Cœur Basilica will be yours. While the Basilica's architecture might not suit everyone's taste, I personally find its atmosphere quite serene. The view from the front terrace of Sacré-Cœur is already absolutely splendid. And after such a long day, there's no real need to climb to the top of the dome, especially since it can be quite tiring. To finish the day, let's embark on a leisurely stroll through the enchanting streets of Montmartre, where every step unveils hidden gems, cozy café, and the vibrant spirit of the artistic haven. You can wander aimlessly, or you can follow the path I've designed on my Montmartre dedicated video. Walking Montmartre at golden hour, 1 hour summer stroll. For dinner, let's try a bouillon. Bouillon Pigalle at the bottom of the hill, providing French cuisine at very affordable prices. After dinner, if you still have a bit of energy left, walk about 300 meters to the legendary Moulin Rouge to admire its famous red windmill glowing in the Paris night. Then, it'll be time to take the metro back to your hotel after another wonderful day in Paris. Despite including both the Louvre and Opéra Garnier, they too remain surprisingly reasonable. Breakfast from a boulangerie is very affordable, and both Vaudeville and Bouillon Pigalle offer excellent value for authentic Parisian food. In total, this second day comes to around €136 per person for a full day of art, culture, elegant neighborhoods, and iconic views. This day might already be your last one if you're staying in Paris for only 3 days. So let me propose a complete immersion into the very heart and soul of the French capital. We've already had breakfast at a local café and at the boulangerie. So today, let's move one step up the ladder with breakfast at one of the city's most legendary cafés and enjoy one of my favorite breakfasts in Paris. After World War II, Les Deux Magots attracted artists and thinkers, hosting stars like Jean-Paul Sartre, Albert Camus, Ernest Hemingway, or Pablo Picasso. I wouldn't necessarily come here for lunch or dinner. There are better options nearby in my opinion. But for breakfast, this place is an absolute must. This delicious package includes a croissant, a baguette with strawberry jam, and a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice. Here, we've clearly stepped things up. Everything from the butter to the rich, creamy hot chocolate and the deliciously flaky croissant is top quality. Now, full of energy, let's begin today's walk by leisurely strolling through the beautiful Saint-Germain neighborhood towards the magnificent Jardin du Luxembourg. One of the largest, and certainly of the prettiest parks in Paris, the Jardin de Luxembourg is a perfect spot to chill. As you can see, there are plenty of seating options, and you can even lie down on the grass if you want. From there, we are not far from the Panthéon, and that's where we're going now. Majestically perched on the hill of Sainte-Geneviève, the Panthéon is a true marvel of neoclassical architecture. Originally built as a church, it now serves as a mausoleum and final resting place for many illustrious figures of French history. Under the grand dome lies an ever-moving sphere, the Foucault pendulum, suspended from the ceiling. It's a mesmerizing demonstration of the Earth's rotation as it swings back and forth, showcasing the rotation of the Earth beneath it. If you are ready to climb 203 steps, there's a great view waiting for you at the top of the dome. Beneath the Panthéon lies an underground mausoleum, a final resting place for notable figures including Voltaire, Rousseau, Victor Hugo and Marie Curie, creating a solemn space that honors the intellectual and cultural legacy of France. There are 83 individuals resting here, one of the latest being Josephine Baker. Just behind the Panthéon is another beautiful church, Saint-Étienne-du-Mont. This architectural masterpiece combines elements of both Gothic and Renaissance styles, captivating the visitors with its intricate carvings and stunning stained glass windows. But what makes this church so unique is that it houses the shrine of Sainte Geneviève, the patron saint of Paris. The next stage of our stroll will have us go deep in the Latin Quarter, down to the famous library Shakespeare and Company. Place de la Sorbonne is a beautiful square, surrounded by historic buildings, including the prestigious Sorbonne University. Opposite this crossroads is the Musée de Cluny. The garden in front of the Musée de Cluny is called Samuel Paty. He was a history teacher in secondary school who was beheaded in an Islamic terror attack in 2020. The Musée de Cluny is a museum of medieval art. Its building combines Roman-era terme, the Terme de Cluny, including a well-preserved frigidarium, and the 15th century Hôtel de Cluny. There are around 23,000 artifacts in the museum, dating from the Gallo-Roman period up until the 16th century. If the Louvre has its Mona Lisa, the Cluny Museum has the Lady and the Unicorn. This invaluable series of 6 16th century tapestries is exhibited in a room with suitable lighting so as not to damage them. All these people in line are here to visit one of the most famous English bookshops, Shakespeare and Company. To tell you the truth, I've never actually been inside the shop myself. The line is usually far too long for me. In a small garden next to Shakespeare and Company is the oldest tree in Paris, a locust tree planted in 1602. From this garden, there's only one small arm of the Seine to cross before reaching the magnificent Notre-Dame de Paris. Visiting Notre-Dame is completely free, but if you want to avoid the long lines, the best option is to reserve a time slot in advance. You'll find all the necessary information in my dedicated video, Before the Fire, After the Resurrection, Visiting Notre-Dame Today. In 2025, for the first complete year after its reopening, Notre-Dame welcomed more than 11 million visitors. It's time to have lunch now, but after this morning's excellent breakfast, and before tonight's superb dinner, we'll keep things lighter today with a sandwich. But not just any sandwich. Visitors to Paris love going to Le Relais de l'Entrecôte for its famous steak frites and secret sauce. Well, did you know they now make sandwiches using that same entrecôte and legendary sauce? So let's head to La Baguette du Relais. La Baguette du Relais mirrors the exact recipe, same meat, same sauce, yet here it's served in a baguette, and let me tell you, it's absolutely delicious. Sometimes the most delicious things come in unassuming packages. Greasy, juicy, and undeniably yummy. For a good digestion, what about an hour and a half stroll through Le Marais? One of the most charming and atmospheric neighborhoods in Paris. With its medieval streets, elegant mansions, trendy boutiques and lively cafés, Le Marais perfectly blends historic Paris with modern Parisian life. It's also one of the rare areas of central Paris that largely escaped Haussmann's 19th century transformations, which explains its unique atmosphere and village-like feel. And of course, if you'd like to explore this fascinating neighborhood in more detail, I also have a dedicated video, discovering Paris neighborhood's historic marais in 20 must-see places. Today's visits are not over yet, but let's now stroll back towards Saint-Germain-des-Prés. And on the way, we'll stop at the almost painfully beautiful Sainte-Chapelle, one of the greatest masterpieces of Gothic architecture in Paris. There are almost always long lines in front of Sainte-Chapelle, so I strongly recommend booking your tickets in advance if you want to save time. Priority access is given to visitors with a ticket purchase on the internet, with reservation of a time slot. The entrance fee is €22 for any non-EU member. You enter the Sainte-Chapelle through the lower chapel. The lower chapel is only 6.6 meters high, with a 6 meter wide central vessel and 2 narrow side aisles. The primary decorative themes of the sculpture, columns and murals are the fleur de lys, emblem of the French royalty. But what's really exceptional is in the upper chapel, reached by narrow stairways in the right tower. To me, the upper chapel is just one of the most beautiful churches in the world. The most striking features are the walls, which appear to be almost entirely made of stained glass. A total of 670 square meters of glass, that's 7,200 square feet, not counting the rose window at the west end. This rose window is a very fine example of the flamboyant Gothic style. It is 9 meters in diameter and is composed of 89 separate panels representing scenes of the apocalypse. The thousands of small pieces of glass turn the walls into great screens of colored light, largely deep blues and reds, which gradually change in intensity from hour to hour. Sainte-Chapelle, as both a symbol of religion and royalty, was a prime target for vandalism during the French Revolution. The chapel was turned into a storehouse of grain, and the sculpture and royal emblems on the exterior were smashed. The sacred relics were dispersed, although some survived as the relics of Sainte-Chapelle in the treasury of Notre-Dame de Paris, and they even survived the 2019 fire. In 1840, under King Louis-Philippe, a long campaign of restoration began. The work continued for 28 years, and the results are faithful to the original drawings and description of the chapel that survived. Today, Sainte-Chapelle is no longer a church. In fact, that's why you have to pay to enter it. In this shrine were held the most sacred Christian relics: the crown of thorns worn by Christ during his passion, a nail, and a small piece of the cross on which he was crucified. Let's enjoy one last walk back to the hotel, this time along the beautiful quays of the Seine. We've now finished exploring Paris for today, and if this was already your last full day in the city, you'll still have a bit of time to pack your luggage before dinner. For our last dinner in these 3 days, we'll eat at Le Procope. Established in 1686, it holds the distinction of being the oldest café in the world. Throughout its history, Le Procope has been a focal point for intellectuals, hosting the likes of Jean de La Fontaine, Benjamin Franklin, Victor Hugo, and Oscar Wilde. So overall, this third day costs around €149 per person. It's the most cultural and historic day of this itinerary, with several paid monuments and a legendary final dinner at Le Procope. But it also includes some of the very best experiences Paris has to offer. So adding everything together, these 3 days in Paris would cost roughly €450 per person, excluding accommodation. And if we add a reasonably well-located hotel room averaging around €250 per night for 2 people, that's approximately €500 per person for 4 nights. Which means that, all included, this complete 3-day 4-night Paris itinerary would come to around €950 per person. Of course, that's without snacks, souvenirs, shopping. And in Paris, trust me, that can increase the final bill quite significantly. So in just 3 days, we explored many of the absolute highlights of Paris, from the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre and Notre-Dame, to Montmartre, Sainte-Chapelle and the elegant covered passage of the city. And just as importantly, we also experienced Paris through its food, from simple boulangerie breakfasts and legendary cafés to traditional brasseries, iconic bouillons and historic Parisian restaurants. This is it for this 3-day itinerary in Paris. But in my next video, I'll take things even further with complete 5-day and 7-day Paris itineraries to help you discover even more of this incredible city.